of the recording. That's someone. Right, and I'm just going to screen share. So we're recording from now on. So I'm now hoping you can see a tree with some logo, with some hands on it. Brilliant. Okay, so this is where we're going to start. Okay, so welcome to our presentation on Here for BDCC, which stands for Here for Bradford District and Craven Communities. That's the name for the new infrastructure support for the next 3 years. We're hoping that the name does what it says on the tin, which is that we're here to support the voluntary community and social enterprise sector of our district with Craven, with infrastructure support and various other items that I will explain to you as we go through. If you're on Twitter, you may already have seen this logo. We launched our Twitter account a couple of weeks ago, and we just wanted to explain a bit about our logo to you. So the colours are really important to us because the 4 colours of BDCC are each colours of our 4 partners, and I'll introduce them on our next slide. So we've just made sure that actually wherever possible, we bring our partnership together, and that includes in our logo. A tree is very symbolic of helping people grow, so we've used that, and helping hands. So trees and helping hands, and that's how we ended up with our logo. I'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so the 4 partners for this programme are ourselves, Community Action Bradford and District, Hale. Unfortunately, Sonia can't join us today because she's not very well. But if you do have any questions for Sonia, we'll collate them and she'll answer those back. And then I'll introduce Anthony.
Hello, everyone. It's Anthony from Participate.
And Ben.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben Cross. I'm Chief Exec for the VCS Alliance.
Okay, so Ben and Anthony are here, and they will join in at question and answers near the end. So if you've got any questions for the elements that they're delivering, they'll be able to answer those. But until then, you're just going to get my lovely dulcet tones that are very southern at the moment. So I do apologise, but I was down south for a week. Okay, so that's our partnership. Community Action Bradford and District are the lead for the partnership, and it'll be our responsibility to make sure everything's done. So that's where we are with that. Okay, so. Oh, sorry, I've jumped over a slide. So this is a diagram just to show you the elements that we're going to be delivering of the contract, and who's doing what. Okay, and to explain our structure a bit. I'll talk through this diagram in a second, but I did want to say, for those of you that have followed the infrastructure process, the tender process, there were actually 6 lots. We were successful in securing 5 of the 6. The 6th lot will be delivered by a consortium called Network Central. That is being led by CNET in partnership with REN and Impact Hub. And that's all I can say at the moment, because we haven't managed to sit and have a discussion about how our 5 lots and their 1 lot will work together yet. But that is work in progress. And as we know how that will start to develop, we will share that with you. But I can't give you any information on that today. Okay, so each of our individual organisations, I'll take you through this tree diagram, have our boards. One member from each of our board and our CEOs will be making up our steering group, which makes 8. And then we are going to recruit an independent chair for that steering group. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that at the end of the presentation. So there'll be 9 people on our steering group. They will oversee delivery of the 5 elements that we have, and I'm going to take you through each of these elements in turn in a minute on different slides. But just so you can see, the capacity building work will be delivered by ourselves with Participate, and we are subcontracting to YCAS, so they're not a main partner, but they'll be doing some finance work for us. The volunteering work will be between Participate and ourselves. We're very greedy. We've got the whole of information and insight to ourselves. And then we'll be delivering voice and influence in partnership with the VCS Alliance. And then finally, Hale will be leading on the citizens engagement work, but used to be called Engaging People. It's got some slight differences. And they are going to be subcontracting to Bradford Talking Media, CNET, and Keighley Healthy Living. Okay, so we'll now go through each of the lots, and we'll describe them in some more detail to you. Oh, but before that, one more thing. Sorry, forgot about this. So I should be reading my notes, knowing who's what's doing. So what we've agreed and been commissioned to do is to actually provide a single point of access for any group or social enterprise that wants support in the district around the 5 lots that we have. And what that means is that if I just go back to the previous slide, if you bump into somebody working in the volunteering bit of our work, you will then never ever have to make another phone call to one of the other lots, because internally we will make sure that that happens for you. Okay, so a single point of access, a bit of a conversation, we're calling it a triage diagnostic, see what your needs are, see where you fancy going. Then the new thing we're going to do is that first person that you've had that conversation with is then going to become what we call your account manager. And what we mean by that is that that person, they may not be the person that needs to give you support right at that time, but actually they will keep in contact with you and make sure that anywhere that they've referred you to within our team has provided that support. They're also someone that if you get a bit confused and you're not sure who you should be talking to, you can go back to them. So it's a bit like in the private sector where I'm an account, you get account managers and they do bits and pieces. We want to translate that into here so that actually you can tell your story once, somebody understands your story, and then you can get your support and actually have one person helping you do that rather than being pushed from pillar to post, which currently is some of the way, because of the way the current infrastructure is delivered, that's sort of what happens. You move from one organisation back to another organisation and bits and pieces like that. We don't want that to happen. We want this to be really seamless and a good journey for you. So that's our plan. That's our new bit in there. Okay. So now we'll go through the lots and we'll talk a bit about those. What I am going to do when I talk through these lots is tell you, if you know what we currently deliver, that's great. I'm going to talk to you more about the changes that we'll be making rather than what we currently do, because what we will be doing is what we already do, and then building on top of that for the lots we currently deliver. So Community Action currently delivers capacity building. The great news for this new piece of work is that we are formalising our partnership with Participate, who currently we work with in a bit of an ad hoc way, but this brings us together. Participate will be leading on the social enterprise development because that's their skill set. We'll continue to have the development officers. So for those of you that don't know what a development officer is, they're currently called Lincoln, Chris and Sarah. So that team of people will still be there. They'll be joined by, I think it's Rachel from Participate. For those of you that knew about Bradford CVS before the merger to Community Action, there used to be a training coordinator there. We've got that role back. So actually we'll be able to provide you with a much better offer around training. You'll be able to talk to them. They will help you source stuff if you need it in-house. We'll be able to provide some more stuff in-house. I know we do stuff like that, but they will also have a really good grip on our overall training programme. This team, our capacity building team, I've talked about it being across 2 organisations. Actually, our whole team across the 5 lots, across all 4 organisations, will be sharing data, as you could see from the thing before. So I just wanted to be really clear that if you come in and talk to someone at Community Action for the first time, you will be informed that they may be referring you to Participate or to the VCS Alliance or sending you over to Hale. And that is within our gift around data protection. So I just thought I wanted to put that quite forward as well. And no, that's it. That's sort of the nuances on capacity building. Have I missed anything, Anthony?
Don't think so.
Lovely. So we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, volunteering. So currently volunteering is delivered by different organisations. And from the 1st of April, the volunteering element of support for Bradford District and Craven communities will come to Community Action and Participate. Again, what this is enabling us to do is really formalise the offer between volunteering support for volunteering involving organisations. It's a big sentence, but what I mean by that, there's the voluntary sector have volunteers, the council, some health providers have volunteers, and we'll be able to bring all of that together with corporate social responsibility volunteering. So that's private businesses getting their staff to volunteer in the sector. So that's really exciting. Anthony's been running the corporate social responsibility stuff for a long time now. We've referred across a little bit, but actually it's going to enable us to really bolster our offer. So like in the capacity building element, actually, if what you really need is a really little nugget of legal advice, hopefully come across to the corporate social responsibility volunteering, we could find a professional lawyer to do that for you for free. So we'll be able to cross-fertilise and do all those sorts of bits and pieces. The other thing that's really important for us in volunteering is that we wrote our bid and used the proverb, give a person a fish they eat for a day, give a person a fishing rod they eat for life. And what we want to do is start turning our offer from transactional things like fish into actually giving you fishing rods and fishing lessons. So what we mean by that is at the moment, a lot of volunteer brokerage, you pop something down, somebody totally unconnected to your organisation has a conversation with someone and sends you somebody who wants to volunteer for you. We want to give you the skills to do that locally for yourselves. We will still do some brokerage for a little while, but over the course of this contract, over the 3 years, that will ebb away, and we will be providing you and upskilling you as organisations to do that for yourself. And because of that, when we get onto our information team, you'll understand with some of the staff we put in there to help you out with that. The other thing we're also going to do is really increase the use of social media to help with your recruitment. We know that's where lots of people spend their time looking at stuff, so that's where we should be going, not hidden off in websites. And we're also going to be developing some online training for you to actually give to people that turn up to volunteer for you. So we know for smaller organisations, it can be really time consuming to train them in some of the basics like confidentiality, equal opportunities. So what we want to do is set up a set of videos for you. So actually you can take a single volunteer on for a change rather than waiting for 5 or 6, because that's time efficient to train them. And you can pop them in front of these videos and they can get their basic training that way. So it's a resource for you to use for free. Right, move on to the next one. So information and insight. We're going to have a brand new website for Bradford District and Craven communities. Our individual organisations will still have their own websites to do other bits and pieces, but this is going to be a resource hub for you. It's going to have different buttons on it, get support, get informed. So it's the one place to go to find out about training, to find out about the networks, to pick up some fishing rods, to get a couple of fishing lessons. What's really, really important for us is we were asked to ensure that you could get your hands on things like policies and procedures. We're not going to repeat anything that we find in the rest of the World Wide Web. So what we've agreed to do is our website will host the minimum amount of policies that you need to do very simple grants, either with the Alliance or with the council. So you can get those downloaded really quickly and make sure you've got them. But then if you need things on top of that that are more complex, we're going to refer you to the NCVO website. They have a whole host of things called Know How Nonprofit. Now, I know some of you are going to roll your eyes and go, but it's a nightmare of a site. Well, we're going to spend time teaching you how to navigate that site. So we'll do online sessions and sit with you and help you understand how to do that. If your income's really low, it's a free registration at NCVO and you get your hands on all of it for nothing. But we do know it's a big, scary website, so we want to unpick that for you. The council have also commissioned something called Go for Growth. That's to help people around contracting. That's for the voluntary sector and small businesses. Anthony and I are already talking to them to make sure their resources are friendly for the voluntary sector. They're all free again. And again, we'll be helping people unpick that. If what we do want is we want some feedback from you. So actually, if you think there's another site we should be hosting and doing lessons on that resources site, you tell us, please, because we'll put in what we know from our end. But if there's other stuff, we also need to know about that. I think that's all I need to say on that. Have I missed anything? No, great. Oh, that's the site. In that team, we're also going to have a new development officer who will come out and help you with your marketing. That's the marketing of your organisation. That's the marketing of your volunteers. or your volunteer opportunities. So for those of you that have, I know some of you have watched our own marketing go exponential and get a lot better. We're going to come out and help you do that for yourselves as well. So that's a new post. That's a new development officer post to do that. On to the next one. Voice and influence. So again, we've got our partnership will be running all of the voice and influence. At the moment, we run Young Lives Bradford, which is part of the voice and influence stuff, and the other voice and influence stuff is run by CNET. It's all coming over to us. We'll be delivering that in partnership with the VCS Alliance. We will be winding down the assembly in its current format and then rebuilding it. We are not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So we know that there are some forums that are really effective and they still want to exist. So after these two conversations, we will start coming out to you to talk to you for your views about the forums you've been engaged in the past, the value you've had out of them, so that actually we can co-design your voice and influence structure with you moving forward. That's really important to us. And we said that in our bid, that we haven't decided what we're going to start calling things networks. We've only decided on one network, and the rest are all up for grabs and for discussion. And some networks might last 3 years, some might last 6 months. And what we want to do is have that to be much more flexible. The only network that we have committed ourselves to starting is a leaders network. So we are very aware that the Assembly steering group has some fantastic people sat around it, but it's very small. And what we need to do is ensure that anybody that is leading an organisation in this district feels that they are listened to and has their voice heard. So that's one that will start. It's going to be a bit massive. A lot of it will be online. A lot of the content of that leaders network will be up to the members of that network to decide. So it's you just have to bear with us, because actually we're going to try and really give your voice and influence back to you. And just bear with us while we build that. We're a bit slow starting because of some delays within being able to publicly announce the commission and things. So we will be starting some of that over the next couple of weeks and then developing it up until about the end of June. All of our processes are going to be open and transparent around our voice and influence things, and we also have a budget to help pay for some representation in structures. If you want to be one of those reps, you will be asked to apply for that. You will be held to account under a role description, and actually if you're not doing what it says on the tin, we will be asking you to leave. So it's like a bit of a mini job, but we'll pay you to go and do that. So we will be holding some sessions about that in the future. So if you're interested in the networks, just when you see them, we'll tell you at the end how we're going to start telling people what's going on. We'll be lining those up and you can come and have some chats with us. I think that's all I needed to say. And if I missed anything, Ben?
I was just going to say, what's fantastic is our system partners, whether it's the council, whether it's the health system, a range of other partners, are really looking forward to working with us, to work with us on this transition from different systems. And we'll be working with them to help to make this really work for everybody. So this isn't just us being left to go and do things on our own. We are working with a range of partners around this, because this has got to work for everyone. So that's kind of part of the deal that we've committed to do. So hopefully that's helpful.
I think the only thing to say on the networks is that we will be supporting. We've got like this onion. There'll be some in the middle that will do the minute taking and all those sorts of bits for, and then there'll be ones around that actually stand alone on their own anyway, but we're going to have better relationships with them, and sometimes we might have to help them out. And then there's other networks that are funded through other things, and we're just going to make sure that we line them all up and they all talk to each other. So that's how some of that's going to go. Rabina, I can see your hands up, but I'm going to let me finish the presentation and then I'll come back to you, because I've got 2 slides left. Okay, so that's networks. The next one, citizens engagement. Like I say, Hale aren't here, but for those of you who know the Engaging People programme, it's very similar to that, with a bit more built into it. The thing with the citizens engagement is it's really driven by the NHS because it's part of their discharging their engagement function. So that team will be going out doing those other bits and pieces. But the benefit that we have, with bringing them into the infrastructure contract is that actually the insight that they gather, we're going to be able to keep hold of that. So currently, engaging people send their insight off to the NHS and it's never seen again. We will be able to keep copies of that and send the NHS what they need. That team will also be able to also gather other insight while they're out. And then that insight will be shared back with you so that you can use it for things like funding bids or to help with voice and influence. So by bringing them in, sharing all that stuff, actually it's going to start to give us a better picture of our sector. And that's the really exciting bit about adding that in. Right, last slide. So, oh, I've clicked off my screen. So this is where you come in. As I've already described, we need to start building those networks. So what we would really love is when we start building them, please attend meetings. Please come and tell us what worked well, what didn't work well. Let's build it afresh from the start. We will be talking to our partners in the council and the NHS to find out how actually what works well for them as well. And then hopefully we'll design something that meets their needs, our needs together. We're going to be commissioning something called outreach providers. So we have to cover the whole of the districts and it's really big. We're also being asked to make sure that we align to the council staff in area offices. And we're also aware that sometimes we sit in a town somewhere and we don't get where we should be. So we've come up with a thing called outreach providers. We are going to commission up to 10 organisations across the 5 areas, so 2 in each area, to help us improve our reach into local areas with due regard to protected characteristics. So there will be an expression of interest process for that. So we'd like people to tell us if they'd like to do that. We are going to put that information out about that process next Monday or Tuesday so that we can do the other session and then launch it so people know it's going to go. On Monday, the 14th of March, Anthony and I will host a session. So if you are interested, once you've read the information about being one of our outreach providers, you can come to that meeting and find out a bit more. And then we'll close the applications 10 days after that. And then from that, we'll pick, we'll work out the 8 to 10 that we can have. We will be doing that each year. So if you don't get it the first year, you can reapply for the 2nd and the 3rd year of our delivery. So, and also the people that do get them in the first year will have to reapply. It's not just going to roll over. So we just wanted to really show that we're taking some of our infrastructure money because these outreach providers will be paid. They will get some money to help us do this. We're not expecting you to do it for free, but all of that information will be in the packs next week. Right up top, I talked about a steering group chair. We will also be putting that advert out very soon. We want someone to come forward and be that independent person, hold us to account as a bunch of providers, and help us make sure the reports and what we're saying back to the sector are really clear, open and transparent. And as you can see, I've talked about how we're taking on a lot of new work. We are starting to recruit to vacant posts now. We've had to deal with some TUPE and some internal stuff, but hopefully beginning of next week, we'll be able to start advertising the vacant posts that we have within our programme. For now, so we don't miss anything, we'd really like people to follow us on our Twitter account, which is on that slide, which I'm hoping that my lovely able assistant in the background is now typing into the chat box. And if you direct message us via Twitter as well for the time being, that'll make sure we don't miss anything. If you don't know how to use Twitter, give us a shout. We'll set you up a Twitter account, link you up to that, and then you'll be able to talk to us that way. It's just for the next month or so until we definitely know. And we've got our new database to be able to start collecting things. Right. So that's the end of the presentation. I'm going to ask my able assistant in the background to stop recording now.